Well, my name is Saachi Dalvi. I am a first-year student at the Georgia Institute of Technology, and I will be majoring in chemical and biomolecular engineering. And I am so far at home with my parents, which is really nice because who knows when next time I'll spend this much time with them. So I was born in New Jersey. I'm an American citizen, but my parents are still in college. So they dropped me in India to live with my grandparents, and I lived there until I was 3. And when I came back, I was around 4 years old. So I lived in India for about 3 years. And when I came to America, I did not speak a word of English. I only spoke Marathi. And that was very isolating for me, especially from my peers because of the language barrier. Tell a funny story from my childhood. So when I was little, like I said, when I first came to America, I did not speak Marathi, but as I was adjusting to English and learning English, I would form sentences that incorporated both Marathi and English. So another thing, like I mentioned before, that I was pretty shy and introverted. So after school, I did not like hanging around, like the after school daycare. And I would want my parents to pick me up right away, right when school ended, because I just wanted to go home because I was very shy. And there is this kid named Alex whose dad would always come right at 4:30 when school ended. And I was like, my parents should do that too. And my mom told me that every single time that like whenever she picked me up, I would say, Mala late gyon enar, Alex, a dad moon late gyon enar, which means, can you pick me up late? Can you pick me up later than Alex's dad? But I meant to say earlier, but I did not know that I was getting confused with my words because I did not know English well. And so my mom would always pick me up really late, and I would get so frustrated because I could not really, properly communicate what I wanted. So that was like a little funny experience from my childhood that my mom would. But I was able to pick up on English in like the next couple of years pretty quickly, and I was able to then become more involved with my peers. But I think that I've always struggled with having to kind of adjust to American culture and embrace my own Indian heritage. But I think that I have been able to kind of incorporate both into my life really well. My family is just me, my mom, my dad, and my little brother, who's 9 years younger than me. And I have always wanted a little brother. I was an only child for 8 years, and I did not like it. It was very lonely. And so having my brother is very, very nice to have. Throughout my childhood, I was traveling a lot. My parents would take me to lots of countries, such as like Italy, France, Germany, Austria, countless. So I had a really big appreciation for different cultures, as well as sharing my own. And one of the things that that was a large part of my childhood was my dance education. I have been doing the Indian classical dance of Kathak for 10 years now. And I am a senior student. And in fact, I was supposed to have my graduation this summer, in which I become a professional dancer. But that did not happen because of COVID. So it's going to be delayed to next year, but I'm really excited for it as well. And having Indian dance with me throughout my childhood really helped me stay in touch with my Indian heritage. And it allowed me to also share my culture with others, which is also very rewarding in its own way. So that's a little bit about my childhood.
That's amazing. But I want to know, like, how important it is for any child to learn something Indian, or like why we should keep our Indian heritage. Why, like, do you think it's important or it's not required? Like,
It is very important. So I was, when I came here, like said before, that I spoke completely in Marathi. I did not speak a word of English. But now it's the reverse. I speak completely in English, and my Marathi I've been practicing, but it is very, very shaky. It's very rusty. I have a huge English accent, and for me, like whenever I go to India, that has been a really big isolating factor. I cannot really communicate as like well with my grandparents and my extended family. But I think that if I had continued speaking Marathi throughout my childhood, I would have had a stronger connection with my extended family. So I think that having keeping touch with your Indian heritage is important. It's important to be prideful of who you are, where you come from, and it's important to stay in touch with others who are from your from your heritage. For me, it was my extended family. So um,
Uh, yeah, that's really nice to know, because I think, you should not be deprived of anything. And Indian culture, Indian people are part of American culture and American
mm,
community and American society. Most of us are now US citizens also. So
yeah,
we are US citizens and we are part of um, US. What I can say is, like, voters, we are part of uh, their population.
yeah, you're part of the melting pot of America.
Absolutely, very well said. So I'm part of that melting pot culture, and especially I felt that when I went to New York, where, like, so many people of so many different ethnicity and heritage, and they all blend together, and they live so, like, like they have no issues. They're okay. They're absolutely okay to be with each
Right.
other. So I was wondering, like, as a child when you went to school here, and
Hmm.
like at the age of 3 you came here, then 1 or 2 years it must have, like, you must have blended with them, and then like you must have adjusted yourself. What I mean.
Right.
And then how was school for you? Like elementary school or middle school or high school?
So for elementary and middle school, so I went to a primarily white school. So I was one of like the few Indian kids there. And I have to admit that I felt a little like a foreigner, but I feel that I also took pride in also being the only Indian kid there. I felt that it made me unique, and I really I really enjoyed. Especially this one time, I remember in second grade they had this India Day where everyone who was Indian, my mom even helped out. They put on this like show of Indian dance to Jai Ho, and all the like white kids loved it, and they loved like the food that we were serving, and so I felt very, very prideful. And so this kind of changed in high school, being the only Indian kid in a primarily white population, because starting in high school, I went to the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy, which is a boarding school here in Illinois. And it is not primarily white. There's a lot of more diversity. It also stresses diversity. I saw a lot more Indian kids and white kids there too, but Asian, Blacks, Latinos, like the whole kind of spectrum of races was represented there. And I felt that it was more inclusive than like my elementary and middle schools. And they took pride
Diversity.
in their diversity, yes. Every year they held like a Diwali show, a show for the Lunar New Year celebrating like East Asian culture. They had one for Harambe celebrating Black culture, and one for Casa de Almo celebrating Latino culture. So I felt very included at my high school.
At
So
IMSA. IMSA, you
at
felt,
IMSA, yeah.
yeah, IMSA, you felt more included. And how is the socio-economic composition over there? Like, 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 is it representing the society, or everybody is very rich over there, or people are poor, or they are on middle class? What's the socio-economic composition of IMSA?
think I think majority of us are in like the middle class. Like I know there's like a lot of Naperville students from there. Not as many from like the Schaumburg area, but a lot of Naperville. So it's more represented middle class. There's a few students who are on like the lower economic scale, socioeconomic scale, but they are they have like some tuition paid for them. And I feel like having like people, you know, of different socioeconomic statuses there gives those students an opportunity that they would not have had in their own home school. So I think IMSA trying to reach out to those of the lower socioeconomic backgrounds is a good way for them to get an opportunity they would otherwise be deprived of.
What is the like a special thing from your campus which you miss? Like
What I miss, what do I miss? Does that have like a can it be like a person?
yeah, person, thing, food, anything. You can tell me each one of them.
Okay, so for food, so I would always complain about the food. I did not like the food at all. It was very stale, it was very bland, especially compared to my mom's cooking. Um, but like around every 2 or 3 weeks, they had this huge celebration called like Friday Fest, where all like the IMSA's parents can bring food from their own culture. Like we had like Asian food, Indian food, Italian, and we would just celebrate kind of like diversity through food. So that's one part. That's like the food aspect of IMSA I miss. I also really miss my roommate. We have been roommates for all 3 years of IMSA. And we clicked, like we were immediately friends. And she was like my second mom. She made sure that I was like eating, I was cleaning my room, I was like doing my homework. She was very, very considerate. And I think that she had this like motherly nature in her, but I was more of like the playful daughter. But I also made sure that she was taking care of herself, because IMSA is very stressful. It is a pressure cooker, and sometimes it's really easy to forget self-care. So I think having her with me helped me take care of myself, and having and I was there to like make sure that she was also taking care of herself. And I really miss her because we have been like away from each other for like about like 6 months now because of COVID. I didn't really get to say a proper goodbye to her, but we do like FaceTime and chat, but I really do miss her. And the last thing about IMSA that I miss was probably.
That's amazing. But I want to know, like, how important it is for any child to learn something Indian, or like why we should keep our Indian heritage. Why, like, do you think it's important or it's not required? Like,
It is very important. So I was, when I came here, I like said before that I spoke completely in Marathi. I did not speak a word of English. But now it's the reverse. I speak completely in English. And my Marathi, I've been practicing, but it is very, very shaky. It's very rusty. I have a huge English accent. And for me, like, whenever I go to India, that has been a really big isolating factor. I cannot really communicate as like well with my grandparents and my extended family. But I think that if I had continued speaking Marathi throughout my childhood, I would have had a stronger connection with my extended family. So I think that having keeping touch with your Indian heritage is important. It's important to be prideful of who you are, where you come from, and it's important to stay in touch with others who are from your, you know, from your heritage. For me, it was my extended family. So for elementary and middle school, so I went to a primarily white school. So I was one of like the few Indian kids there. And I have to admit that I felt a little like a foreigner, but I feel that I also took pride in also being the only Indian kid there. I felt that it made me unique, and I really I really enjoyed, especially this one time I remember in second grade, they had this India Day where everyone who was Indian, my mom even helped out. They put on this like show of Indian dance to Jai Ho, and all the like white kids loved it, and they loved like the food that we were serving, and so I felt very, very prideful. And so this kind of changed in high school, being the only Indian kid in a primarily white population, because starting in high school, I went to the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy, which is a boarding school here in Illinois. And it is not primarily white. There's a lot of more diversity. It also stresses diversity. I saw a lot more Indian kids and white kids there too, but Asian, Blacks, Latinos, like the whole kind of spectrum of races was represented there. And I felt that it was more inclusive than like my elementary and middle schools. And they took pride in their
Diversity.
in their diversity, yes. Every year they held like a Diwali show, a show for the Lunar New Year celebrating like East Asian culture. They had one for Harambe celebrating Black culture, and one for Casa de Amo celebrating Latino culture. So I felt very included at my high school.
How is the socio-economic composition over there? Like, 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 is it representing the society, or everybody is very rich over there, or people are poor, or they are on middle class? What's the socio-economic composition of IMSA?
I think majority of us are in like the middle class. Like I know there's like a lot of Naperville students from there, not as many from like the Schaumburg area, but a lot of Naperville. So it's more represented middle class. There's a few students who are on like the lower economic scale, socioeconomic scale, but they have like some tuition paid for them. And I feel like having like people, of different socioeconomic statuses there gives those students an opportunity that they would not have had in their own home school. So I think IMSA trying to reach out to those of the lower socioeconomic backgrounds is a good way for them to get an opportunity they would otherwise be deprived of. Around every 2 or 3 weeks, they had this huge celebration called like Friday Fest, where all like the IMSA's parents can bring food from their own culture. Like we had like Asian food, Indian food, Italian, and we would just celebrate kind of like diversity through food. So that's one part. That's like the food aspect of IMSA I miss. I also really miss my roommate. We have been roommates for all 3 years of IMSA. And we clicked, like we were immediately friends. And she was like my second mom. She made sure that I was like eating, I was cleaning my room, I was like doing my homework. She was very, very considerate. And I think that she had this like motherly nature in her, but I was more of like the playful daughter. But I also made sure that she was taking care of herself, because IMSA is very stressful. It is a pressure cooker, and sometimes it's really easy to forget self-care. So I think having her with me helped me take care of myself, and and I was there to like make sure that she was also taking care of herself. And I really miss her, because we have been like away from each other for like about like 6 months now because of COVID. I didn't really get to say a proper goodbye to her, but we do like FaceTime and chat, but I really do miss her. And the last thing about IMSA that I miss was probably just like having like just being with everyone. Like I've made a tight-knit group of friends there, and I really miss being like living close to them, just being in the proximity of friends. Like at home, it's nice being with my family, but it's sometimes very isolating. Like I don't have like any social interactions like outside of my family. But at IMSA, it's like you can just go next door to someone for help on like homework, or just to talk with them about like how your day was. And so I really miss being in the proximity of my friends. Oh, so IMSA's library is pretty, it's quiet on the most part, because especially like during like finals week or a midterms week when there's like a lot going on, people are very, very studious and they don't really want to talk with others. We have like open classes where it's just like a study hall, study period. The library is normally packed with people just studying because they maintain like a nice, quiet, studious atmosphere. I also really enjoy going to the library because they also have really comfortable chairs there, and I feel like I can get a lot done. Also, sometimes it's really helpful to be away from my dorm room because my dorm room is somewhere I associate with sleeping and, hanging out with friends, and the library is something, you associate more with studying. So it helps you become more productive. I guess like if you would say like the IMSA fashion is really we wear like Adidas sneakers a lot because they're comfortable, and it's a campus, so we have to walk around a lot, so they're comfortable and stylish. And then I'm not sure about the guys, I don't really pay attention to them, but I know the girls were basically like leggings and a sweatshirt because it may be like 80 degrees outside, but inside IMSA it is freezing. So having sweatshirts and leggings is really comfortable. And also, I think comfort is like one of the main, I guess, like values of IMSA because we're always studying. So having that comfort is just like one thing less we have to be like, we don't have to really mind for. So. Okay, so the first thing was that IMSA taught me my first lesson on failure, even before I entered IMSA. So when I applied for IMSA, I could apply as an 8th grader and skip 9th grade to go directly into 10th, or apply as a 9th grader and just go into 10th. I wanted to go to IMSA since I was in 7th grade. I visited the campus. I loved the teachers. I loved it's more of a learning laboratory style of teaching, and I knew I wanted to go here. So I applied in 8th grade. I had to take the SAT as an 8th grader when that's more of an 11th, 12th grade test. I had to write 4 or 5 application essays that I had to proofread over and over with my parents. It was basically like a mini college application as an 8th grader. So it was really stressful, but I was really passionate about going to IMSA. But I did not get in. I was rejected and I was heartbroken. I really thought that I would get in. And I think like what made it what exacerbated my feeling of disappointment was the fact that it was my first failure. Before, school would come easy to me. Like my dance career was like thriving. I never really had like a big challenge, but being rejected from IMSA showed me my first disappointment and failure. And I was actually adamant about not going to IMSA and not applying in 9th grade because I just did not want to relive like the feeling of failure, of failing again at IMSA. But my parents, they taught me about like their own failures in life, and I think I learned from there that like, I miss 100% of the shots I don't take. And so I should apply again. And I did. And I had to take the SAT all over again because the SAT changed that year. I had to write new essays because the essays changed that year. So I had to put in all the work again. But luckily I did get in and I was really happy. So I learned from there that failure is a part of life and we need to learn from our failures, because I would not have gotten the opportunities I had received at IMSA that I would have otherwise gone to my old high school and not get those opportunities. So another thing I learned from IMSA is not really academic, but more social. I was very introverted before I came to IMSA. I did not like talking to people. I did not like people talking to me. I got really scared. At parties, I would tag along with my mom if none of my friends were there. I was not a people person. But coming to IMSA and living with people and friends, and also being put into a situation where you need to go and seek out for help, made me open up to others. It made me see that social interactions are really important. It made me more extroverted. I have been able to open up out of my shell and be more comfortable talking with others. I think this really helped because during the school year, I had like a wing where it was like a group of 20 girls, and we lived like right next to each other, and we would just have these like conversations about like our days, and it made me feel like very included and it made me feel like, yeah, I should open up to more people, especially when people are opening up to me. And so I've really grown socially as a person through IMSA, and I'm really thankful for that. So IMSA is not all about academics. It helps you learn really important life lessons outside academia.
Yeah, like some people think, Sachi, that they are super smart in life, and some people I have seen, like some students or some people think that I
Hmm.
am super smart and I don't need anyone.
Right.
And if I don't communicate or if I am not that social, I will survive. So, what do you think on these lines? Like, do you think that communication and social contacts are important, or just being smart is enough?
I think that having social interactions is very important because um, IMSA really stresses having a collaborative environment. We have to talk with others in order to solve problems. Like, you can be the smartest person in the room and still not be able to get like the question right, because the problems they give us are really challenging and they require multiple lines of thinking. And I think that someone who's saying, oh, I'm the smartest person, I don't need any social interactions, is also actually depriving themselves of a really important learning opportunity. Because okay, I'm not gonna lie, I went in there thinking I'm really smart, I'm gonna be really good at IMSA. And I would not have been as like good at IMSA as I would have been if I did not interact with others, because I learned to think from different perspectives. Um, I learned how other people think, and I like considered new lines of thinking, which broadened my perspective and experience and knowledge. And I think that, having that social interaction helped me kind of just grow as intellectually. And that's very important in the future, because in this world, we always have to like work with other people. Like, I'm going to become an engineer, and I think that as an engineer, I need to learn how to work with others in order to solve a problem concretely. So you need social interactions in order to fully solve a problem.
Perfect. Well said.
I guess I love competitions. I I was really into Science Olympiad, and I would mostly do uh, chemistry related topics I would compete in, because I'm a chemical engineer. I really like chemistry. I also like computer science, so I participated in the American Computer Science League, and we made it to nationals back in my junior year. So that was something I was also part of. I was also a head tutor in my residential hall. So a head tutor is when I organize basically like school-wide study sessions to help my underclassmen um, know the material really well, and it helped me kind of learn, like grow as I guess grow as a
Leader,
um, yeah, as a teacher and as a leader too, because I was able to I need to like lead a large group of students through difficult material. And the last thing I was a part of was this, I was talking about this coding club or coding organization I was part of. It was called Codio, and it was a program that reached out to like marginalized students to help them learn coding. And we had like 7 modules in the spring, and we would design our own curriculum, gather our own chaperones, and also physically teach the kids how to code, which was a really exciting experience for me. And it was really exciting just to see them, because they're little, and just seeing them like that moment when they understand the concept and their face lights up is so rewarding. So that's the club I'm most proud of throughout my years at IMSA. My brother, he is the cutest person ever. I don't care. He thinks like most brothers are really annoying. Like little brothers are supposed to be really, really annoying. My brother is really sweet, and he's very independent. He likes to be by himself, but we like to do things together. Like we play like Monopoly, we play cards, we watch movies together. I occasionally make him I occasionally make him do some TikTok dances with me. But we have a really, I think, solid relationship. And I think that like since he's really like more like independent and a little sensitive, it's a lot easier to talk to him. He doesn't really, mind. He doesn't really trouble me. He keeps to himself. But I'm actually the one who like kind of like makes him like hang out with me. So yeah, I really, really love my brother. And I did really miss him when I was at IMSA because he would just like cheer up my day. Just like seeing him like run around the house, like just playing with his like action figures, it just like brightens my day. So, my dad, I admire how studious he is. My dad has a like I just can't explain how dedicated he is to studying, to knowledge. Ever since he was little, he would always tell me I would be just studying in the library. In fact, we found a picture of him in this newspaper from India, and it was taken, and my dad was seen there just studying, like reading about like I don't even remember. I think it was like engineering as like a 12th grader, which normally doesn't really happen until you're in college. So he had a really large thirst for learning. And even now, he values education more than anything. He has spent so much time with me making sure that I get the best education possible. He helped me get into IMSA. He helped me get into extended math back in elementary school. He helped me get into the colleges that I wanted to do. Like he was reading over my college applications over and over again. And although it was very, very stressful, it was worth it at the end. And so I really admire how much he values education and how much he wants me to thrive and how studious he is. Like I see him even now working after hours because he is so dedicated to learning for himself and for me. So that's really, really admirable of him. For my mom, I think I just admire her perseverance in general because my mom, I remember she did not have it like easy. My mom, she came to America because of my like dad, and she had like a master's at Rutgers. She came away from her family 1,000 miles apart. She was studying. She had like her own research, like for me, research kind of opportunity, I guess, that she had to do. And she was pregnant with me. So that was a lot to juggle for a college student. And I really admire how she was able to persevere through that and become the woman she is today. And she also had to like live without her daughter for like 3 years, which is also very, saddening. So I admire how she was able to not give up on her like college and how she was able to like stay focused even though she had all these like other things weighing down on her. So similar to my dad because of like the way that I like to study too. I find studying fun. I like to see challenges and being able to use my mind to like solve them. Like even when I watch TV, like I get very bored. Like I just solve like puzzles, like Sudoku puzzles or word games, just to keep my mind like busy. I don't like having just like a sedentary mind. So I think I have learned that from my dad. Like I like learning. I like solving challenges and puzzles. So that's one aspect. As far as my mom, I think I'm similar to her in the sense that we both love dancing. Like the main reason that I was pushed into Indian dance was because my mom, when she was little, she did not have the opportunity to learn dance, but she would be like dancing to her own music, doing her own choreography. And when I went to dance for the first time, at first I did not like it because it was something I never tried before. But soon I was able to get adjusted, and I see like, oh my gosh, I love this. And I see why my mom loves it too. So we have this shared common interest. And you fact, I have, so for my Rangamatra, my graduation, I had a theme of festivals. And I would go through, I have like learned a dance for Shiva, for Lord Krishna, for during Holi, for Lady Devi Durga, which you will see soon, for Navaratri, and I had a Diwali dance. So I was able to kind of become more connected to the Hindu religion through dance. My dance teacher, Garyanti, would tell me about all these like stories of like Krishna, Ram, Lord Shankar, and things I never knew before. And I felt really connected to like Hindu religion because of dance. I think I have like experience teaching kids coding because throughout high school, I actually organized a club to reach out to more of underprivileged children or middle schoolers, and not really children, and teach them coding because it's an important skill to have, and especially in this technologically advanced age, it's important to know how to use a computer and how to interact with it to solve problems. So yeah. I'm only in Society of Women Engineers, which is basically just a organization that promotes, gender equality in the engineering program, and we hold like meetings about how to reduce like the gender gap in STEM, how to reduce like the gender gap in like engineering in particular. So it's a very good organization. So as for Georgia Tech, I think like it's just a really big tradition. Normally they participate in like the football like games. I'm not really big into football, but I know like they have like a lot of pride going into those football games, even though Georgia Tech is not great at football, but it's just like the school pride. And our colors are like gold and blue, so everyone's wearing gold and blue, and our mascot is like the yellow jackets. So everyone's having like like the bee like I guess like flags like waving. So I think like Georgia Tech has a really big tradition of having like a big school pride of like football games, even though they're not the best. So next, I want to become a chemical engineer. In particular, I am having a concentrated focus on biotechnology. I want to go into pharmaceutical engineering. I want to design drugs and delivery approaches because, oh, I forgot to mention, in high school, I had a research project where I looked for important compounds in the soil for antimicrobial resistance in order to effectively design drugs to combat, I guess, like diseases by pathogens like tuberculosis or E. coli. And I really enjoyed having that because I'm not a big fan of biology, but I like the chemistry behind biology. So I realized that's the part of science I really enjoyed, biochemistry. And I really enjoyed my research opportunity at IMSA. So I want to continue that in the future, and I want to learn how to properly, manufacture medicine. So that's the dream. I am hoping to finish my bachelor's in 4 years, and I'm hoping to complete my master's either at Georgia Tech because they offer a 5-year combined master's and bachelor's program. The other option is I hope I get into grad school at MIT to complete, my actual dream school. My brother and I have a plan that I'm gonna take my parents on a cruise to Egypt and Greece, and my brother is gonna take them to Russia. So we have like from our first salary.
Oh, perfect. Sounds wonderful. But what will be the first thing which you will buy from your first paycheck?
My first paycheck. I don't know. Probably the latest iPhone. Maybe the iPhone 20 at that point. So yeah. At IMSA. In fact, so there's a place called the math office, and one teacher has like a bowl full of candy. And I'm not ashamed to say this, but when I go there, I only go there for candy, to go to his office and get the candy, and then I leave. And then the next day I come back and I take candy and I leave. And he knows me so well. He's like, "Are you here for candy?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." And I have no shame in that. So yeah, I mean, it's free and he doesn't mind. So want to want to give to charity that kind of pushes women more into like education, especially in like third world countries, because I think education is very important. As you can see, it's a very large family value of mine and of me. So I hope to get involved with that. And
Women empowerment.
Yeah, women empowerment, exactly.
And via education. Like
Why
being,
did you?
yeah.
education is very important. It's a stepping stone in order to become more successful in life, I think. I know that a lot of people in America, in other countries as well, don't have that opportunity. Especially in like other countries, I know like women are not seen to be like, the bread earners of the family. They don't need to learn how to like work or get a job. They just have to sit at home. But I think that's wrong. I think I'm a feminist, and I think that we need to push women more into education. It doesn't necessarily have to be STEM, but just more into education. And bringing those programs to them is very admirable, and I hope to get involved with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And education is the only way.
Yes, education
Is the only way. They can pursue the education of their choice.
Yes. Um, okay, so I don't really sing, but I used to play the piano and violin. I don't anymore, but I will.
I really think that you have a very sweet voice. You're so smart, so confident, and we are so proud of you. And we would like to see you achieving all your dreams. May all your dreams come true.
Thank you so much.
Two lines.
Oh, I will sing one line from a Marathi. Okay, I'll sing one Marathi, but just one line. I just remember this one. Asawa sundara chocolateचा bangla. Asawa sundara chocolateचा bangla. Canary sonary chum chum changla. I just remember it because it has chocolate in it, and I love chocolate. So, um, from English, I'm not sure. I'll sing my favorite Disney song. So it's called The Bare Necessities from the Jungle Book. So it's like, look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. And I think I like that because it kind of reminds me to stop being so stressed out. Sometimes you just need to take a break and relax.
Yeah. Let there not be any stress in your life.
Exactly.
All the time. And I wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Archana Auntie.